So it turns out the FBI was spying in on Occupy Wall Street. No, really? I remember when I went down to Zuccotti Park, we were filming there, and I went to a meeting where they had some of the top organizers of Occupy Wall Street. We wanted to get their permission to tape there. And I was looking around the room, there was 30 or 40 people there, and I was trying to spot the FBI guy the whole time. And the NYPD guy, because it was inconceivable that that was not infiltrated. And when I told who I was with at the time, they're like, well, come on, really, you sure? Except there was one guy who was with me, Jesus, who's our longtime director, and he was like, oh, yeah. Of course they infiltrated the Occupy Wall Street movement. Our government represents the top corporations in the country, especially Wall Street. Obviously they're going to infiltrate, but here comes the interesting part of the news then. Well, the New York Times, Michael Schmidt and Colin Moynihan have a good article about this, say that, well, they put a little twist as a reasoning for infiltrating them. Turns out the Occupy people might have been possible terrorists. The New York Times explains. The Federal Bureau of Investigation used counterterrorism agents to investigate the Occupy Wall Street movement, including its communications and planning, according to a newly disclosed agency records. Yes, those guys who don't want the banks to be as powerful, who want to have the citizens be more powerful, who want a more equitable society. Oh, what possible terrorists those guys are, sending the counterterrorism units. What do we tell you, man? We told you that the minute you allow them to abuse our rights and our laws in the name of terrorism, they're not going to just stick with terrorism. They're going to start labeling everything terrorism. The drug trade. And now, if you're doing protests, the most American thing you can do, the most protected right you have in the United States Constitution, possible terrorist. And it goes on. Paul Bresson is spokesperson for the FBI in Washington. He says, while the FBI is obligated to thoroughly investigate any serious allegations involving the threats of violence, we do not open investigations based solely on First Amendment activity. Well, that sounds really reassuring. Here's the only problem with that. FBI's New York field office on August of 2011 wrote this memo. The records show little evidence that the members of the movement planned to commit violence. Nonetheless, they were investigated. Weird. Even though there were the FBI looks into it and they go, no violence here. They go, send in the counter-terrorists anyway. Keep going, okay? Why? Because we don't like what they're doing. Further explanation, New York field office from the FBI. Numerous incidents have occurred in the past which show attempts by anarchist groups to disrupt, influence, and or shut down normal business operations of financial districts. Aha. So, perhaps this isn't about terrorism at all. It isn't about violence at all. Now we get to the real heart of the matter. They might interrupt normal business at the financial district. Goddamn terrorists. That's what this is about. Because our government is no longer our government. It's the government of and by and for the corporations. So the corporations tell the FBI, hey, go down there and investigate. These people are bothering us, okay? They're possible terrorists to us. Oh, First Amendment rights, please, come on. Trample all over those, go do your job. Finally, the New York Times explains, FBI personnel around the country were routinely involved in exchanging information about the movement with business, local law enforcement agencies, and universities. Well, okay, why don't we just give up any pretense to being a representative government of the people, right? So not only do they collect information on you, even though they're not supposed to, not only do they put you in the counterterrorism group, but then they turn around and they share the information with businesses. So they're like, okay, well, we snooped in on the movement that is against you banks, so banks, here's the information on your opponents. Just give up the pretense and just say we're now the United States of multinational corporations, we're the United States of Wall Street, and our government, our NYPD, certainly the FBI, they all simply work for the financial district, and if you dare protest them, well, you're going to be in a world of trouble.